The Soviet Union built 4 nuclear reactors in 1977. The fourth is primarily the one held in question, and essentially responsible for engraving a deep irreversible mark in history, and ultimately led to the downfall of said Soviet Union, and not to mention dramatically impacted lives including humans, wildlife and nature. Although at one point in time, a nuclear power plant in Ukraine's city of Chernobyl presented no obvious outward harm, anything nuclear related always harnesses potential risk. Unfortunately, that risk would turn into a full-blown reality on April 26, 1986. They say time is healing, and although in some instances that rings true, with the incident of Chernobyl, even with time, unfortunately the city and neighbouring regions still suffer the impacts that took place that day. Upon investigation, the disastrous accident occurred as a result of a test gone wrong. Workers were testing the cooling and electrical mechanisms of the 4th nuclear reactor, or Chernobyl 4 reactor as it was formerly called. The objective was to see if in the event of a power shutdown if the reactor could still be successfully cooled. Plans went entirely awry, as there was an unexpected and unanticipated power surge. Workers desperately tried to stifle the power surge in efforts to deactivate and shut it down, but it was too late. Another power surge within the reactor already had its gears in motion, causing explosions within the reactor's makeup, all the way to its nuclear center, which served to be the most detrimental of all. Once the nuclear core was exposed, radioactive material freely escaped, wreaking havoc into the atmosphere. It was chaos. As far as when things will get back to normal in Chernobyl, that is still a question that is relatively still up in the air. It's estimated that the area and neighbouring regions will still be in cleanup efforts for many decades. Scientists have even gone to the extent of predicting that the region and neighbouring regions deemed as exclusion zones will not be safe to inhabit for a bold and hefty 20,000 years. However, with that said, it's not to say that people are not currently inhabiting those regions. Some have returned to their old family homes to resume the farm life they once lived as children, before the catastrophe at Chernobyl. That primarily applies to the elderly. However, families who are fleeing crises or conflicting situations have also been attracted to the area, and this is due to the highly affordable land. In recent years, mysterious discoveries have been made in and around the exclusion zone, and one of these is the reports of mysterious flying crafts. People who worked in Chernobyl would report seeing mysterious flying crafts above the nuclear plant, noting that they looked nothing like traditional planes or helicopters, and would hover above them motionless as if they were inspecting the area. They would do this for several minutes before making a quick exit. Interestingly, this was even documented by a few employees, but it's reported that officials brushed the sightings aside, with others saying that this often happens when mysterious crafts are sighted above nuclear plants. Interestingly, Mikhail Varysky, who was working for the Radiation Control Department, said on the same day as the disaster, he and several other colleagues would witness a mysterious craft hovering above reactor number 4, almost as if inspecting it. His story isn't very well known, but he details his encounter with UFOs. He said the following: "We saw a ball of fire, and it was slowly flying in the sky. I think the ball was 6 or 8 meters in diameter. Then we saw 2 rays of crimson light stretching towards the 4th unit. The object was some 300 meters from the reactor. The event lasted for around 3 minutes. The lights of the object went out and flew away in the northwestern direction." End quote. Incredibly, he goes on to detail that the radiation levels in the area dropped, going on to say the following: "The UFO brought the radiation levels down. The level decreased almost 4 times. This probably prevented a nuclear blast." End quote. This has caused some UFO researchers to suggest that the craft was actually trying to help us. Various military personnel have come forward and said that when tests are being carried out, it's not uncommon to see UFOs in the region, going on to say that it's almost like they're watching what we're doing. These crafts have also been seen close to things like missiles, and back in 1964, former US Air Force Robert Jacobs was in charge of photo instruments. His mission was to film an Atlas rocket during his flight. When he heard liftoff, he started the cameras. He said he could see all 3 stages of the rocket. Thinking that everything was fine, he then took the cans of film to get them developed. He was then ordered to go to the office of one of the majors. There he was told to sit down and listen carefully to what they was about to say. He turned on the film projector and showed him the launch. As the Atlas missile entered the frame, he was told that it was travelling between 11 and 14,000 miles per hour. However, the cameras then picked up a saucer-shaped craft that came into frame. Robert Jacobs said the following about the incident. It flew into the frame and shot a beam of light at the warhead. Remember, all this stuff is flying at several thousand miles an hour. This thing fires a beam of light at the warhead, hits it, fires another beam of light, and then flies out the way it came in. The warhead then tumbles out of space. When the lights came on, Major Management said, "Were you guys messing around up there?" And I said no. He asked what that was, and I said, "I think we have a UFO." End quote. Another report from within the exclusion zones is that of apparitions. Those who have spent a long period of time within Chernobyl have often reported seeing mysterious figures in the corner of their eyes, only to notice that they vanish when they try to focus on them. In fact, explorers have often said that when one of these apparitions is close by, the level of radiation spikes on the Geiger counter. Others have said that around the building, shadow people can often be sighted, with some theories suggesting that these may be the people that lost their homes and that returned to the exclusion zone after their passing. Shadow people have long been reported by individuals across the planet, and interestingly, many of their stories match up, with eyewitnesses describing humanoid black masses that have the ability to go through walls and interact with things around them. There's many who have said that this is an old phenomenon, and it's only been in recent years that people have started to open up about their encounters. It's not known what they are. Scientists have said that a likely answer is that of pareidolia, while believers have said these entities are definitely real, and that they're often seen around areas where there's been some type of tragedy. Another idea that's starting to gain traction is that these shadow people may actually be individuals who are having an out-of-body experience. Regardless of what you call them or what you think they are, sightings of them are still being reported in the modern day, with us no closer to understanding what or where these entities are coming from. There's many areas around Chernobyl that are out of bounds, but tours can be arranged if you want to see some of the nearby areas. Many have done this in order to explore what's been left, and one of the things you'll likely run into during your visit is that of children's dolls and children's toys, with them now being completely covered in the radioactive dust and soot. This has left the town with the appearance of being completely frozen in time, same as on the day of the evacuation, and a perfect recreation of the 1980s during the rule of the Soviet Union, with Soviet propaganda and toys of that era littered throughout the area. Something else that can be found within the exclusion zone is that of the giant claw. It was one of the machines that was used to help clean up the area shortly after the event. However, due to its high levels of radiation, it's been left to rot. The claw is still very radioactive, and researchers have said that it can't be touched by those who visit the region. In fact, private guards have said that it's not a good idea to even get close to it, as it could cause harm to the human body. The average background radiation is around 0.16, and the claw measures in at over 39. To put that into perspective, 10 or higher could cause death within hours, which is why tour guides have told people to not go near it. a physicist at the University of Portsmouth said that by 2065, Chernobyl would have caused around 16,000 cases of thyroid cancer and 25,000 cases of other cancers. However, other researchers have said that the amount is much higher than this. Hiking through the forest is an activity that's enjoyed by many. It's relaxing and it can make you appreciate the small things in life. In fact, Science Research and Daily Science announced that spending time outside is good for you, and that living close to nature has a wide range of health benefits. That's of course as long as you don't run into anything mysterious. For years now, stories have been told of mysterious creatures living in the dense forest regions of our planet, and that every so often hikers come into contact with them. There's a variety of different locations that are said to house these mysterious creatures. North America has the well-known Bigfoot, a large bipedal humanoid that's allegedly been encountered by humans for thousands of years, while Indonesia has the orang pendek, a humanoid-looking creature that's said to resemble that of a prehistoric human. Recently, an individual on Reddit by the name of Ms. Robin Hood captured a mysterious photograph while hiking with their dog. They said that they often walk through this area with their dog, but that this time something seemed off. They managed to snap a photograph and post it online, noting that this thing was much taller than they were. They said the following: "It's strange because a couple of times while I've walked past this tree, I've seen something in the corner of my eye, and I look at the tree with a strange feeling, but yesterday it was different." Some who saw the image pointed out that the trees in the background looked strange, and suggested that the creature in the image was a Bigfoot, a creature that researchers have said bends and breaks branches. Another said that it's a really clear photograph of something strange, and that this could be the real deal. As of right now, the original poster said they plan to go back, and hope they can find out what this thing was. While many reports suggest the creatures are hostile, there is also numerous reports that suggest a more gentle nature. A vile stench is often said to precede them, as well as tree knocking, screams, or even revealing themselves briefly before vanishing. Despite giving humans signs of their presence, they have still managed to evade human contact for thousands of years, ever since the first reported sightings. Though numerous signs are often reported before Bigfoot sightings, Ufo phenomena is one of the most common. It's estimated that around 20% of all Bigfoot sightings coincide with unidentified flying objects. One account of a UFO and Bigfoot originates from 1888, and this was a meeting between cattle ranchers and a group of Native Americans, and it happened in Northern California. The natives had described 3 crazy bears that came down from the sky, and this was in a small craft. The craft left the creatures in the woods before flying off. Another report was made by a woman, and this was in Ohio back in 1973. The mother and daughter were both asleep, when around midnight a beam of light came down from an umbrella-shaped craft. Upon seeing why the light was shining in the woods, they noticed greyish beings walking towards the beam. Within a short amount of time, both the beings and craft had disappeared. The Central Intelligence Agency also investigated a report of a Bigfoot and UFO, and this was at Pennsylvania, and it happened on July 31st, 1966. The report was filed alongside thousands of other UFO reports, as part of the infamous Project Bluebird. 4 tourists from New York were visiting the popular destination when their car became stuck in the sand after a day of relaxing on the beach. Gerald LeBelle was one of the 4 and was sent to call for a tow truck. The other 3 stayed in the car and waited for help until around 10 PM when a police patrol car stopped to see if the group were okay. The group were told that a tow truck was on the way, and so the police officers said they would call back within the hour to ensure that they'd managed to pull their car free. After approximately 35 minutes, the police returned, only to be told by one of the members that they just witnessed something strange hovering above the woods. The officers, along with Douglas Tibbets, went out into the woods to investigate what they'd seen. The remaining 2 members of the group stayed with the car until the others returned. The officers and Tibbets managed to walk roughly 300 yards from the car before they heard the car's horn, which caused them to turn around and hurry back to the car. As soon as they arrived, the 2 women who were left with the car were visibly shaken, claiming that they just witnessed a dark figure, larger than a man, with a big head and wide shoulders, no hands or face visible, and it appeared that its back was turned. The creature was also heard to be scratching the car's roof, before one of the members had sounded the horn, which scared the creature away. Investigators later dismissed the report as being a raccoon, but the witnesses were offended by this, stating that they know the difference between a raccoon and a large humanoid. Another mysterious creature is that of the orang pendek. The orang pendek is said to be a 2-legged ape that lives in the western islands of Indonesia. It's been cited by the locals around the island, and also by foreign researchers. Orang pendek is Indonesian for the short one, and it's proposed to be a species of primates that has not yet been discovered, possibly belonging to the genus Homo. Over time, so many people have reported seeing the creature, including travelers, natives and researchers, that many have gone looking for the cryptid, or accidentally saw it by chance. Orang pendek's most common features that have been confirmed by the many sightings include a standing height of 2 to 5 feet, moving on 2 legs like humans do, and having grey or golden brown fur. The strangest observation is that these creatures have facial features that are more human-like than monkeys, which has resulted in the belief that the orang pendek could be a distant long human cousin, possibly with a common ancestor. From what the locals of Indonesia say, the orang pendek has high intelligence and can hide from being detected while watching people, making them fear it for its clever nature. In recent years, we've learnt that the world around us can change at any moment, not just because of things outside of our control, but also because of discoveries that we make every single day. Some of these include finding lost cities and archaeological digs, finding explanations for strange phenomena, or answering questions that have long left us puzzled. One recent discovery was made by a drone that was scanning the nearby marshes. A 75-year-old author was hiking with friends and family when he suddenly vanished. The friends and family went to police in order to try and get a search team, saying that the man that went missing was elderly, and that he'd gone missing during their walk. The officer called in various units to help with the discovery, including drones that were used to scan the nearby area. The search for the author went on into the night, with friends and loved ones worried that something bad may have happened, given how old the author was and that he's gone on various hikes before. Over 50 people took part in the search to find Peter Pugh, with investigators saying that he can't have gone far, telling everyone in the nearby area that the author must be within Norfolk, saying that he can't have gone far from where the hike took place. After not having much luck on the ground, the police then sent up drones in the sky in the hopes of finding any signs of movement. The officer who's in control of the drone then spotted something in the nearby marshes, and as the drone went in for a closer look, it turned out to be a human submerged in water and mud. Officers and responders quickly made their way to the scene, and it was confirmed that it was the missing author Peter Pugh. Once they made their way over, it became apparent how lucky Peter was, as the officer said he had been stuck in the water and mud for over 20 hours, and was suffering from hypothermia. Police said that Peter had been walking with friends and family at the time of his disappearance, and it was around 5:30 in the evening that they became separated. After calls were made to the police along with Her Majesty's Coast Guard, the Royal National Lifeboat Institution, and Norfolk Lowland, search and rescue began their searches of the nearby area. They worked throughout the night in order to find Peter, stating that it was important to find him within the first 24 hours, saying that it's rare for people to go missing for more than a day, and that 3/4 of them are found within 24 hours. However, they said that as time goes on, the chances of finding them decreases. Just after lunch on June 17th, the Norfolk police drone piloted by Sergeant Danny Leach spotted something in the nearby marshes, which luckily turned out to be Mr. Pugh. Using the drone, the officer was then able to guide the rescuers in the direction of Peter, and also helped to assist the rescue service. As the Coast Guard helicopter arrived, the team was pulling Peter from the thick mud that had trapped him. He was then taken to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Kings Lynn where he was being treated for hypothermia. When Peter was asked about what happened, he said he didn't really remember much, but was very thankful for how quickly everyone acted, saying that he was so fortunate to have been found. Peter's wife said the following: "He is doing remarkably well. He's sleeping quite a bit. His knees and legs were slashed by the reeds and now looks like raw meat, but he's a tough old bird and he's recovering well." We've all been out to eat and were heading back home when Peter decided to go off on his own for about half an hour, so we could go back and look at the seals, but he ended up walking into an area where he shouldn't have gone, and fell into some water and mud amongst the reeds. I think he was lying down in the end and up to his neck in water, but he was fighting all the time to try and get out. He didn't have a mobile phone on him, and even if he did, it would have got so wet that it wouldn't have worked. The Coast Guard helicopter searched for him on Saturday night, but didn't find any sign of him, but he had a bright pink polo shirt on him, and this is what caught the eye of the drone operator. Then the helicopter came back on Sunday afternoon to winch him out. All he can really remember is the voices of the people who came to rescue him. I just want to reiterate how wonderful the rescue service and the police all were. I think the drone saved his life." End quote. Sergeant Alex Butcher, who helped search and rescue find Peter, said the following: "Through our teamwork we were able to successfully locate Peter and return him back to his family on Father's Day. There's no doubt that without the police drone we would not have been able to locate him in the time that we did. The police drone allows us to search areas that are difficult to access, and within close range where a helicopter may not be able to get. Approximately 50 people were directly involved with this search operation, and it was through their dedication and hard work that we was able to save this man's life." End quote. Hundreds of thousands of people go missing every year, and sometimes these people can vanish right under our noses. It's important to remember how hostile certain areas on our planet can be. Lucky for Peter, it seems that a pink shirt may have been the determining factor that led to search and rescue saving his life. So what do you make of this interesting story? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.